Hi, I'm Dan Schmitt and this is Team Chicago Challenge. I'm with my good friend, Buzz Walneck. Now, Buzz is well known for Walneck Classic Trader. It's a magazine he started, maybe one of the biggest selling motorcycle magazines there's ever been as far as circulation, because at one time it was outselling almost 90% of all the magazines on the market. And but let's first give me briefly, where did you grow up in Chicago? How did you get involved with motorcycling? And a little bit about your parts business, and then doing your first little newsletter.
Okay, I was born in Chicago on the south side, around the jail, the big jail.
Oh, really? By 26th and Cal?
26th,
that
yeah,
area?
I was on 23rd and Albany.
Okay.
And my dad happened to buy a motorbike that was somebody had for sale in the alley when they had horse-pulled
Wagons still running
yeah,
around.
Right,
oh, yeah,
right.
I remember
so
that
there was
too.
a lot of
Right.
manure out there in the dangerous zone. And it was a Lorraine, a 26-inch front wheel and a 20-inch back wheel, and he pushed me up and down the alley, up and down the alley. Then the second bike came along that actually ran, and it was a doodle bug. Very popular after the war for transportation for adults.
Right.
And that kind of started it. And Dad was not really thrilled with them, but he liked anything mechanical, and he was not a real rider. He'd ride anything I bought.
Right.
And that,
So you would work on these bikes too?
I'm a bad mechanic.
Oh, really?
When I work on them, then the next guy's got to work even harder to undo. I don't use lock washers on anything. I cross-thread automatically. But then that led to a 175 Hoffman, and then Dad's friend came along one day and he had a 1949 Harley Bagger.
Oh, really?
And Dad's, he'll take a trade for one of Dad's cars. And Dad said, well, think you can handle that? Dad, don't worry about it. I weighed 125 pounds. I had no idea what a foot shift was.
Right.
I mean, hand
shift, right?
Hand shift,
Foot clutch.
yeah. And
toe to go.
They got that started, and I just cut across the neighbor's lawn a little bit. And
Right.
that was.
So you were hooked.
I was hooked.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then later on, you bought some parts from somebody going out of business.
Oscar Malik.
Okay.
He had. He lived in Chicago on the south side. Was a customer of my down the street from a customer Dad had. So years go by. A lot of years. Oscar Malik is out here in Lamont, and he had a building that was 40 foot by 40 foot. It was 4 semis put together.
Oh, really? Full of parts.
Full of parts. That size.
So what BSA? British parts mainly, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oscar was racing at Santa Fe.
Okay, well that's how I know the name.
Yeah.
Oscar, and his brother, was his brother?
Right. Yeah, George.
George Malik. Right. Okay. That race, that I have footage of him racing at Daytona. George Malik.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Number 56.
Yes. Okay. But so anyhow, I stopped out at this place he had, and I wanted to buy a couple parts, and I picked through, and he says, well, how much on that? He says, the bigger the pile, the cheaper the price. So I bought about $50 worth of stuff.
Right.
And then Oscar says to me, did you want to buy all of it? I said, what do you mean all of it? He says, didn't you see my ad in the Sun-Times? I says, no. He says, well, I want to sell everything. It's 20 motorcycles and 4 container loads, equivalent to that.
Right.
British, American, all kinds of stuff for $1,850.
Really?
And earlier I talked to Pixie and said, someday I would like to have something like Oscar had.
Oh, really?
She says, yep, I wish that someday you will have something like Oscar had. So I call her up at work, and I had given him a $5 deposit on it. And I says, Pixie, guess what? Your dream came true. We own all of that. So next thing comes, we've got a,
So you had to move the stuff though?
oh yeah, now we got a 2-car garage,
Mm-hmm.
not 440-foot
Right,
containers.
right.
And Oscar was very understanding. And one of the funny things was, in order to recoup the money, I was putting stuff here, and friends and Oscar hang on to it.
Right.
I put an ad in Hemmingstead. I had all these wheels and stuff. And a guy calls up and he says, I am the world's largest wheel hub collector.
Really?
I've got umpteen hundred wheel hubs for bicycles and motorcycles, and my kids don't want it. The Museum of Science and Industry said, nope, they don't want it.
Right.
He says, but I'm buying it, I want it. He says, how many wheel hubs can you come up with? And I said, you know, your request is a little bit unusual, so I would like, you know, to pay me first, and then I'll cut them out.
Right.
So he sent the check, and it cleared, and the check was for $1,850.
So now you're even just selling the wheels.
Yep.
But you still have all these parts you have to store.
Is that what inspired you to start the newsletter, to sell the parts?
In a way, Classic Bike from England started the publication, and I got hold of one of their books, and I sent them a letter, and they says, I'd like to be your distributor. We could take 350 copies a month to start with.
Right.
And they coming back to me, he says, we like your attitude,
Right.
and we're going to make you the distributor. And that worked for a number of years where we were getting that magazine. Then I started putting in an insert into every magazine of what we had for sale,
Oh, okay.
because the magazines were going around in America.
Right.
And that kind of grew until it got fatter, and then we split it off and said, okay, now this is a magazine of its own.
Right. So how many years did you do it on your own before you got picked up?
15 years.
Okay.
We did it out of this room here.
Right.
And did our other stuff. And after 15 years, I was contacted by Auto Trader.
Right.
And the vice president said, you can't use the word trader, period.
Right.
We've got
The copyright on Trader. Right.
And I played in the low line, I says, to George. And he was had a Bonneville at one time in college, so he was pretty on it with bikes. I says, George, I just had my truck lettered, and I paid $175 to put that name on there. And I also bought a dozen T-shirts that say Walneck Classic Cycle Trader, and I'm not about to change that.
Right.
But that comment never came up again.
Right.
So
Then he made you an offer?
Yeah, and he says, how much would we want your name because of name recognition, and we don't have a cycle trader that's other than regional ones. That one would go everywhere.
Right.
And we came up with the figure. We says, well, we would like so much money. Talk to a lawyer. And he says, no, we won't give you that. He says, I'm going to buy your readership. I'm going to buy your advertisers. I'm going to buy your name. I'm going to buy your copyright that we can use anything after this purchase.
Right.
And he said, it's going to be about triple what you wanted.
Right.
And they were honest, good, and we took them up on it.
So you made good money with that deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So the main reason I want to talk to you is about Road Dogg. But before we get to Road Dogg, you have the greatest collection here of Wonder Woman,
Wonder Woman,
and Betty Boop.
Yep.
So I'm going to shoot a little bit of your collection. I mean, you got aircraft carrier over there. You got some cars. You got this wooden Harley Davidson engine. So we're going to show a little bit of your office while we talk.
Okay.
And we're also going to show some footage from the Road Dogg video while we talk. Because the main reason I want to talk to you is that you and your determination to get a picture of Road Dogg, the motorcycle, led to you buying Road Dogg, presenting Road Dogg to hundreds of people, thousands of people, and
you made something out of this unknown guy who lived in Chicago by me, you know, up by Cicero Avenue, first by Armitage, and there's people along Midwest Triumph talk about remember seeing him. I should point out there's a little video clip that my good friend Guy Jones just happened to catch because he was riding by on the highway. I don't know if Guy Jones was in Texas at that time, if he was living in Chicago at that time, but he shot a little 8-second clip of Road Dogg, and we're going to show you that too.
Okay. Cool.
And cause Guy Jones and I raced, I mean, he was my partner. We raced the 6-hour down at Hallett. That's how good of a friend I am with Guy Jones. And I never knew about this until Phil Young gave you that footage. But then you also wrote this book. We're going to show you the cover of the book and some of the pages of the book about Bill and Road Dogg. So give me a little background on, you're looking for the picture, but you picked the bike up in Green Bay from his mother. He was shot by a state trooper in Wisconsin for no real reason, but just, you know, a goofy mistake on both people's parts. And tell me a little bit about the Road Dogg phenomenon and why did you buy it and then show it?
Okay, well, it started out with that picture that
Right.
was taken in Wisconsin, and
At a bar, and someone
yeah,
just came along.
and they called the owner of the Bosco Bell Dial
Right,
newspaper.
the
and he
local
came out,
newspaper,
Ralph.
and he came out. Right.
He came out, took a picture, and in time, Bill was really ticked off at him for letting that picture go out all over the world.
Right.
England and other
Right.
countries.
And Bill never made any money on the picture.
And he wanted to one day uncover it to everybody.
Right.
And it was already that famous. So
Right.
I wanted to get a copy of that picture from a buddy. He's had it on his refrigerator.
Right. And I remember the picture. It would be at different motorcycle shops. Someone in the back, one of the mechanics would have that.
Just make a copy. Okay, I'll make a copy. Nothing. So while we had the magazine, one of our friends was helping part-time, and she was answering the telephone, and I put in there, does anybody know where the
Locomotive bike.
bike or cycle is at? And she gets a call, and she says, Buzz, this is going to make the hair on the back of your neck stand straight up. I said, what's that? She says, here to talk to this person. I get on the phone, and it's the next door neighbor of Bill's mother. And he says, the bike that you're looking for has got a proper name. It's not
Locomotive, right.
It is called Road Dogg, ROADOG.
Right.
And he says, it's in Green Bay, and here is the phone number of Bill's mother. So I called Mrs. Bill's mom, and she says, did you want to come up and take a picture of it, or do you want to buy it? At which point, Pixie is standing there. I says, she wants to know if we want to buy it.
Right.
And Pixie says, if you can put together enough of your stuff to sell it, you've been looking for it for years, buy it. So
Pixie gave you the okay.
Oh, yeah.
You got a trailer and you headed up to Green Bay.
Up to Green Bay. And we met Kate and had a discussion on the price ahead of time. She says, I want so much by check, and I want so much in cash that I can put under my pillow. She was a clever lady.
Right.
And we came up with it, and they had the bike pre-arranged, because Bill had two, and this one was the better one, she said, that was more complete.
Right.
And I backed my trailer under the barn that they were borrowing, where they had it hanging from the ceiling on some big, thick rope.
Heavy rope, right.
Like farmers' equipment, and they just lowered it down onto our trailer, and 3,280 pounds later, we pulled out of the garage.
Right.
And then Kate says, now, do you want the other one? And I says, other one what?
Right.
She says, well, here's this picture. We've got another one that's not as good or complete. Bill made two. But I says, no, I don't have room. I don't have the money. And
Right. All right. So you put this book together.
Yeah.
Because when you're showing the bike, you got people coming up
comments after comments, and you recorded.
Yeah.
I mean, did you record these people on recorder or just take notes after they
mostly,
left? Or?
Yeah, because I was not that good on doing much of the recording.
Right.
At the swap meets, it was not the intention. It was just that we took the bike all the way from Canada, and we headed as far as California, and going through the mountains with this trailer on a.
It'd be fun.
It had to be slow, but we did. And everywhere we went, we allowed people to sit on it. Go sit on it. Go take your picture. Well,
so did you record some of these comments? Did you have a recorder? Or you just took notes?
Well, I took notes.
Okay. And now we should mention that it's sitting in the museum in Iowa.
Right.
And it's on display. I'm going to show a picture of that because I intend to get out there next summer and do a TV show from the museum. That's one of my intentions. All right, so putting the video together, give me a little bit about the background of these people in the video and what was your arrangements you made? Because one guy did have an Auto 4, which was Bill built Road Dogg.
About 5.
Right, but he built Road Dogg because he was tired of Harley Davidson engines being unreliable. So he built Road Dogg, put a Chevy engine in it because he wanted a more reliable motorcycle. Then he wanted to build the Auto 4 using a British 4-cylinder engine that would be more reliable, a bigger motorcycle. He wanted a totally reliable cruising motorcycle, and that's what the Auto 4 represents.
Right, yeah, and the Auto 4 has an automatic transmission built into the case of the engine itself.
Right.
And part of it, he'd gotten it in Illinois in the paperwork that it's a genuine brand, and he decided he'd like to see if he can get a company or something like in California, the police department, interested.
Right.
And he called one of the people that were real prominent out there in the motorcycle field with another brand, and he was explained. He said, "Well, maybe you can help us figure it out."
And he rode right out to California.
Yeah, and
like 2 days later.
2 days later, he and his buddy on another one, because the guy said, "Well, yeah, we'd have to look at it." So 2 days later, this secretary comes into the guy's office and says, "We got something."
And we got this guy out in the lobby.
Really weird looking motorcycle. This really weird looking guy out there that said you told him to come on out. And then he made another bike that was prior to the Road Dogg that had a V6 aluminum block Buick
engine. Then he also made another one with a Corvair engine.
Right, and the other one, the first one, he had taken and built the radiator on top of the sissy bar, which is the center of gravity. If you go leaning, and you've got it all the way to
right.
But he said he had like 9,000 miles on it, and it ran perfectly.
Right.
And that rusted away in somebody's front yard, and then he built the one with the Corvair.
Right. This video, because I'm going to show clips of the video, there's interviews with some guys, and it ends with a song, which inspired me, because when I did the Gary Nixon video, I had someone write a song for the Gary Nixon video, and that tied the whole, because it's a 3-hour, 3-part video with Gary Nixon.
Came from Chicago just to see what he could find. Leave the city, he said, I'll leave it far behind. And took off riding down the open road till he found a place to settle down. Can you hear him riding in the wind? I wish that he could fly once again. You hear him riding in the wind. Wild Bill is a legend.
He came from Oklahoma, living in Chicago. 1967 was his year. a track of clay. His faithful club would take him far and near. He hit the national circuit looking for his triumph. The Bugsy Man took him under his wing. Oh, Gary, Paddling Gary, you sure ain't no knight in shining armor.
Road Dogg, or the Wild Bill Gilbke song, was written by a friend of
Louis.
Who has an Auto 4.
Yes.
And in the video, the guy with the Nazi helmet riding the Auto 4 is Louis.
Right.
Right. And he's got one, and there's a picture of another one in your in the book that you put together. So I mean, I have to compliment you. That's the one reason, if I can come here and say anything to you, is that you captured the essence of sort of a rebel, sort of an odd guy who was brilliant. I mean, he had a brilliant career. He could have stayed out in California. He could have worked for Hughes.
He actually worked for Hughes.
Right. So whether it was aircraft, whether it was satellites.
McDonnell Douglas.
Right. Satellites, whether it's, you know, he was a brilliant engineer.
And his thing in college was higher mathematics.
Right.
Was his.
But he was an offbeat type guy, and you're the one that's, I mean, between the video and the book, if anybody wants to know about Wild Bill, this is the...
Yeah, and from the stories that I heard, I just kept compiling the little ones, and until I had more and more, and said, I really should put it into a book, but
right.
Like at Ace Cycle.
And he was good friends with, you know, all the different dealers, you know, whether it was Herbie at Midwest Triumph, whether it was Basil at A Cycle World. So he was really recognized as somebody. I mean, he made a mark, and these are things that get forgotten if they don't see something that you have produced.
I mean, I try to capture those stories with my TV show. And that's why I'm here interviewing you, because this is a very important story. I mean, if old man Honda was here, I would love to sit down with him and talk about why he decided to build motorcycles after the World War II.
And you're the one to tell the story.
The other one big part of the knowledge of the bike is that we received a letter from the Museum of Science and Industry here in Chicago, and they said, we would like to borrow your bike for 2 weeks and make a display where you come into the building right by the aircraft. And
oh yeah. And so it was only 2 weeks it was in there?
About 2 weeks, but they sent out a card, thousands and thousands of cards to people that were members of the museum.
The entire media. I mean, I'm going to show clips of that too, that the entire media covered you and Road Dogg. And I'm so happy that, like I'm saying, that we have this footage.
This is ABC 7 News, Chicago's #1 news. With the wild and crazy motorcycles, here's your chance. The world-famous Road Dogg is going up for sale. In case you've never heard of it, the Road Dogg just happens to be the longest motorcycle ever built. ABC 7's Frank Matthey takes us for a ride.
Museum of Science and Industry, a real museum piece. The world's biggest motorcycle. I'm Frank Matthey. This story later on.
Well, the world's largest motorcycle is currently on exhibit at the Museum of Science and Industry.
You can see its current owner, Buzz Walneck, riding it here. The bike weighs 3,200 pounds and is 17 feet long. That's right, 17 feet. The Road Dogg, as the owner Buzz joins us this morning from inside the museum where the bike is on display. Good morning, Buzz. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Taryn. Good morning.
Looking good on your bike.
Hi, David.
How you doing, Buzz?
Now,
Your website is www.walneckswap.com.
That is correct. Yep.
So the business that you're in now, which is just as important, it is part of the Chicago scene, as far as I'm concerned, is what are we going to do this weekend? Well, there's a Walneck swap meet, basically either at Woodstock which is the granddaddy of all motorcycle swap meets, or Grundy County Fair. Then you do Princeton, Illinois. You do one in a couple in Indiana.
Ohio, we do 5 in
Oh,
Ohio.
in Ohio, right?
Yeah, those are big ones.
But these are events. I mean, I've been to Woodstock where the traffic was backed up, that the police were nervous that you couldn't get the cars or the motorcycles in that fairground fast enough.
Yeah, those were the good old days.
Oh yeah.
It's changed it a little bit, but yeah, we put on 18 event
Right.
per year.
Right.
And we're always looking to add a little bit more, so we might have another 2 coming up.
Right. Great. All right. Well,
Okay.
I tell everybody to check out Walneck Swap, www.walneckswap.com, for information on Road Dogg, and information on the video, information on this great book. And thanks, Buzz, for letting me come in and talk to you.
Well, thanks.
This was a great interview I had with my friend, Buzz Walneck. Now to contact Buzz and find out more about Road Dogg, his website is www.walneckswap.com. Their email is pixiebuzz@comcast.net, or call them at 630-985-2097. To contact me, my email is teamdan45@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. And remember, you can always search on YouTube with Dan Schmitt Motorcycle Racing for great motorcycle racing action, Dan Schmitt Politics, to learn what makes America great.
Hear 'em riding in the wind. Wild Bill.